The message began as nothing more than a whisper, one tiny signal lost inside the endless sea of stars. At first, no one noticed it. The galaxy was full of noise, radio waves, trade broadcasts, pirate chatter, political speeches, ship-to-ship data links. A weak signal meant nothing, but this one was different. It carried a human code. A code no one had used for more than 200 years. And that was why, within minutes, alarms started flashing across Terran space. Navigation screens froze. Communication officers sat up straight. Captains lifted their eyes from their logs. Even old ships forgotten in deep space patrol routes suddenly lit up with the same glowing message, "We call for help you once promised." No source, no coordinates, only that one sentence. And yet every Terran captain understood it instantly. Something ancient had awakened. The first captain to hear it, Captain Mara Elian, was alone on the bridge of the TSS Horizon's Edge when the message reached her ship. The vessel drifted through the silent black, a patrol route she had flown 100 times before. The crew had gone to rest. The lights were low. Only the hum of the reactor kept her company. Then the speakers crackled. Mara froze. Her screen lit up with old Terran code, something she hadn't seen outside museums. What? No, that's impossible. The message repeated, slow and heavy, "We call for help you once promised." A cold feeling pressed against her chest. She typed commands, searching for the origin. Nothing. She ran deeper scans, still nothing. The signal had no coordinates, no frequency header. It simply appeared inside every Terran ship's systems at the exact same moment. That was not possible, and yet it had happened. Mara stood up, her pulse racing. There were only two groups in the galaxy who could use that old code. Ancient human colonies from long ago, or someone who had lived with them. Neither option made sense. But the message felt real. It felt desperate. She whispered to herself, "Who are you, and why are you calling us now?" Across the galaxy, others heard it too while Mara stared at the message. Other captains reacted in their own ways. On the carrier TSS Tyrant's wake, Admiral Rourke slammed his fist onto the command table. Who dares use that code? It was locked after the first expansion war. His officers exchanged nervous looks. On the science ship Aurora Lantern, Dr. Keela Zahn felt her hands tremble. That code, it was created before humans even joined the Galactic Council. On the worn-down freighter Silver Wind, Captain Bex, a retired war pilot, whispered, "It can't be them. They vanished centuries ago." Everyone had questions. No one had answers, but then something else happened. A second message followed. This one was weaker, broken, almost crying. "Please, we need Terrans. We kept the promise. Now help us." And that was when fear turned into urgency. The forgotten promised Terran history was long and full of chaos. Colonies rose and fell. Wars burned and ended. Alliances formed and shattered. There were many stories that had slipped into myth, but every educated Terran child had heard one mysterious tale. Long ago, a human was rescued by an unknown alien race. He lived with them, he saved them, and he swore a promise: if danger ever comes for you, call for humans, we will answer. For centuries, the galaxy assumed the story was just that, a story, a legend, a bedtime tale, a forgotten memory from a time when humans were scattered and alone. But now the message was real. The promise was real. Someone somewhere remembered that ancient vow, and they were dying. Terran High Command responds within 30 minutes. Every major human ship, station, and colony had received the call. The Terran High Command gathered in a secured chamber on Luna Base. Screens showed the message. Data analysts tried to decode it. Generals whispered theories. Politicians argued. Then Commander Arian Hale entered, calm, tall, and cold as stone. He studied the message once. Only once. Then he said something that shocked the entire room. "Prepare all Terran fleets for readiness. The promise must be honored." The politicians protested. "We don't know who sent it. It could be a trap. It's an unknown alien race. We might start a war. Hale simply answered, "Whoever sent this trusted humans. Now they are afraid, and humans do not break promises." The room fell silent. Terrans had a reputation, sometimes feared, sometimes admired. But there was one thing every species agreed on: humans always pay their debts. A strange discovery back on the horizon's edge, Captain Mara received new orders. Her ship was one of the closest to the region where the signal seemed to originate, somewhere in the Perseus sector. Not exact coordinates, but a general direction. Mara gathered her crew. Their faces glowed blue under the emergency lights. "You already know the message," she said. "High Command wants us to jump toward the possible source." Her first officer frowned. "Captain, we don't even know what we're jumping into." Mara nodded. "I know, but something out there remembers humanity and they're asking for help." "Could be a trap," her navigator muttered. "Maybe," Mara said, "but traps don't ask politely." A few crew members laughed nervously. Still, the fear remained. The message had an emotional tone: panic, loneliness, sorrow. It sounded like someone begging for their life. Someone who believed in humans so strongly that their last hope was a promise made centuries ago. The signal grows stranger as Mara prepared the ship for jump. The signal suddenly evolved. This time it wasn't words, it was a voice, a trembling, exhausted voice. "Terrans, please, they are coming, we cannot hold." Then static, a scream, a crash, silence. Mara's heart sank. "What does that mean?" her communications officer asked. "It means," Mara whispered, "that they might already be dying." Before anyone could process that, another alert chimed. This signal was encrypted, but not with old codes. This one was new, modern, military grade, a direct message from High Command. Mara opened it. It read, "All Terran captains, prepare for immediate fleet formation. There will be no delays. We answer the call." She exhaled slowly. The order was official. The decision had been made. The Terran race would go. Why humans couldn't ignore it as the horizon's edge aligned for jump, Mara thought about the promise. She had heard the legend as a child. Everyone had. It said the lost human who lived with the unknown aliens had been brave, kind, and loyal. He taught them survival. He stood with them in their darkest hour. And when he died, he made one request: "If danger ever finds you, call to the stars. Humans will come." It was foolish. It was simple. It was very human. And now, hundreds of years later, his words were still alive, even though no one knew his name. Mara felt goosebumps. Somewhere across the galaxy, an entire species might be dying, holding onto the last promise of a single human being. How could Terrans ignore that? The jump, the ship engines roared. Blue energy swirled. The bridge shook. "Jump drive ready," her engineer shouted. "Coordinates set," the navigator added. "Well, approximate coordinates." Mara smiled slightly. "Approximate is fine, we follow the signal." The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The horizon's edge vanished into a glowing spiral of jump light. And Mara whispered the words she hoped someone out there could hear. "Hold on, humans are coming." Across the galaxy, a storm was building. Dozens of Terran ships jumped, then hundreds, then thousands. War cruisers, exploration vessels, medical ships, even old ships pulled from retirement, all streaked toward the same distant region of space. Reporters tried to learn what was happening. Governments panicked. Alien empires watched the sudden movement with fear. Some whispered, "What have the Terrans awakened? What enemy would call the humans? What species trusts humans so much?" No one had answers. Only one thing was clear: something ancient and powerful had cried out for help, and the entire Terran race was answering. The final message before silence as the ships closed in on the signal's direction. One last transmission appeared, broken, shaking, full of pain. "Terrans, we held the promise, we protected your brother, please hurry." Then a terrible sound, a deep roar, a crash, and nothing. Absolute silence. Mara stared at the screen. "Someone died sending that message," she said softly. Her crew looked shaken. The navigator whispered, "Captain, whoever they are, they believed in us more than anyone in the galaxy." Mara nodded. And because of that, we will not fail them. The stars outside streaked by like silver rivers. The ship flew closer to danger with every breath, but no one on board doubted their mission. End of Part 1. Hook for Part 2. As the Terran fleets raced through jump space, something massive appeared on Mara's long-range scans. A dying star system. Smoke rising from an alien world, and an enemy fleet unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Captain Mara whispered, "Prepare for battle." The promise was alive, the danger was real, and the Terrans were on their way. The jump ended with a violent jerk. Captain Mara Elian gripped the edge of her command chair as the horizon's edge dropped out of jump space and into real space once more. The bridge lights flickered, then stabilized. Her crew gasped at the view outside the window. The star system before them was dying. A red giant burned weakly in the distance, its light dim and choked by drifting clouds of ash. Broken satellites spun like dead insects. A few shattered moons floated in pieces, their surfaces cracked and glowing. But the worst sight was the planet. A small world with green oceans and silver continents, but now covered in smoke, fire, and laser scars. Entire cities burned. Huge black craters dotted the surface like open wounds. Mara inhaled sharply. "We're too late," whispered her first officer. "No," Mara said softly. "Someone is still alive down there, someone who called us." And she was right. A faint signal flashed again on their screen, not words, not a message, just a simple pulse, weak, unstable, like the heartbeat of someone dying. The Terran fleet arrives one by one. Blue flashes appeared across the sky as other Terran ships dropped out of jump space. Battle cruisers, medical carriers, scout frigates, old planetary defenders. Soon the sky above the burning planet was filled with Terran steel. The fleet commander's voice echoed through every ship. "This is Admiral Hale. We have reached the signal's origin. Prepare for rescue and defense operations." Mara felt relief hearing his voice. Admiral Hale was a legend, cold, focused, unbreakable. If anyone could lead them through this chaos, it was him. "Open a secure channel," Mara ordered. A moment later, Hale's stern face appeared on her screen. "Captain Elian," he said, giving her a nod. "Your ship was first on scene. Report." Mara took a steady breath. "Planet appears under heavy attack, sir. Multiple cities destroyed. Signal origin is surface level. Unknown survivors." "Understood," Hale said, his eyes narrowed. "Prepare to descend. I want ground confirmation." Mara felt her heart quicken. They were going down, into fire, into danger, into the unknown. Enemy presence before the horizon's edge could adjust course, the tactical officer shouted. Multiple enemy ships detected. Red dots filled the radar. Dozens, no hundreds, small interceptors, medium warships, a few massive dreadnought-sized vessels, all moving like a single living creature, and all alien. The enemy fleet formed a blockade around the planet, slowly tightening like a metal noose. Mara stared in horror. The Varak Dominion. She recognized them instantly from old war files. Reptilian, brutal, silent. Their ships were built like armored knives, sharp and deadly. Their engines glowed blood red. They never communicated, they never negotiated, they conquered. Her tactical officer whispered, "Captain, if they see the Terran fleet, they will attack." "They already see us," Mara replied, "but they are waiting." "Waiting for what?" Mara swallowed. "For us to choose." The first contact suddenly, without warning. A small ship broke through the clouds of smoke rising from the burning planet. It looked damaged, one engine dark, hull cracked, shields gone. It limped toward the Terran fleet, sparks trailing behind it. "Unknown craft approaching," the navigator announced. "Open hailing channel," Mara said, static, noise, a burst of coughing. Then a voice, weak, shaking, alien. "Terrans, please, don't leave." The bridge fell silent. The voice belonged to a being who was barely alive. Mara leaned forward. "This is Captain Mara Elian of the Terran starship Horizon's Edge. Identify yourself." There was a pause, then, "I am Lyra Vesh of the Avari people. You truly came." Mara's eyes widened. The Avari, a name she had only heard in myth. The same species said to have rescued the lost humans centuries ago. Before Mara could respond, Lyra spoke again, her voice weak but filled with emotion. "We kept your brother alive. We protected him. He promised your people would protect us if our darkest day came. Terrans, our darkest day is here." A heavy silence fell across the bridge. The legend was real, the promise was real, the Avari were real, and they were dying. Boarding the Terran ship, bring her in, Mara ordered. The horizon's edge deployed a tractor beam, gently pulling the damaged Avari ship into the docking bay. Med teams rushed into position. Engineers prepared to secure the vessel. Inside the bay, the doors opened, and a small, trembling figure stumbled out, Lyra Vesh. Her skin was silver blue, glowing faintly. Her eyes were large, shimmering like liquid stars. Her body was thin and fragile, like someone who had not eaten in days. She wore armor that was cracked and burned. She fell to her knees. Mara rushed toward her. "Stay with us," Mara said softly. "You're safe now." Lyra lifted her head, her eyes filled with tears. "You came, you actually came." Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. "We don't break promises," but Lyra shook her head weakly. "No, you don't understand. The Varak come for us because we helped a human, because we saved him, because he taught us hope." She coughed violently, blood glowing faintly on her lips. "The Varak fear humans more than you know." Mara exchanged a shocked look with her crew. The Varak were powerful, feared, unbeatable. Why would they fear humans? A terrible truth, Lyra continued, struggling for breath. "The human we saved, his name was Kael Sol. He lived with us for years, taught us your ways, he believed in your people." Mara frowned. That name wasn't in any Terran records. Lyra seemed to read her mind. "They erased him," she whispered. "The Varak, they wiped all memory of him because he discovered something humans were not meant to know yet." Mara's heart pounded. What did he discover? Lyra closed her eyes, shaking with pain. That humans carry the same spark as the first builders. Everyone on the bridge drew in a sharp breath. The first builders were an ancient, vanished civilization, the beings who created many of the galaxy's oldest technologies. Scholars believe they were godlike, untouchable. Humans connected to them, impossible, madness, ridiculous. And yet Lyra whispered, Kael Sol learned the truth. The Varak hunted him. He died protecting us. His last words were, "If danger comes, call for Terrans, they will come." A cold shock ran through Mara's body. The myth was real, the lost human was real, and his promise had shaped the destiny of two species. The Avari world burns. A loud alarm interrupted the moment. "Captain," the tactical officer yelled. "The Varak fleet is moving. They are preparing to fire on the planet again." Mara looked at Lyra. "How many of your people are still alive?" Lyra's face twisted with grief. "A few thousand hiding in the deep cities, but they will not survive another attack." Mara clenched her fists. "We won't let the Varak destroy you." Lyra shook her head. "You don't understand. This is not a simple attack. The Varak want all traces of Kael Sol erased. They want to erase the promise." Mara stood tall. "Then we'll make a new one." Lyra stared at her, hope flickering in her tired eyes. "Terran fleet prepares for battle." Admiral Hale's voice echoed across all comms. "Terran fleets form defensive circle around the planet. Protect all remaining life. Rescue operations begin immediately." The Terran ships moved with precise formation. Their engines glowed bright blue, their shields shimmered, their weapons charged. The Varak ships answered by forming their own deadly wall, their red lights burning like the eyes of predators. The two fleets faced each other, silent and cold. A thin line of space separated them. One wrong move would start a war. A new signal. Suddenly the sensors beeped again. A new signal, but this one wasn't from the Avari or the Varak. It came from the surface. A different voice, deep, human. Mara felt her heart stop. A human voice, here now. The message was short, just 3 words: Terrans, help them. Her crew looked terrified. "Captain, that voice, that's impossible," the communications officer whispered. Mara whispered back, "No, it's not impossible, not anymore." End of Part 2, cliffhanger for Part 3. Who is sending the human message? Another survivor, a recording, or something else entirely? And why do the Varak fear humans? The answers wait on the burning planet below. And the Terran fleet is about to dive straight into the fire. The bridge of the horizon's edge went completely silent. A human voice from the surface of an alien world. A world where no human should be alive. A world the Varak were trying to burn into ashes. Captain Mara Elian felt a strange coldness in her chest. That message, those 3 simple words, echoed deep inside her bones. Terrans, help them. It was not broken like the Avari signal. It wasn't fading. It wasn't weak. It sounded strong, focused, almost commanding. Her communications officer stared at the screen, pale and shaking. "Captain, this can't be real. No human has been on this planet for centuries." Mara slowly shook her head. "Someone is down there, someone who wants us to fight." The thought sent a shiver through her body. Admiral Hale reacts. The message reached every Terran ship. Within seconds, Admiral Hale opened a private channel to Mara's bridge. His face appeared, hard angles, cold eyes, calm voice. "Captain Elian," he said, "your ship is closest to the surface. Your crew will investigate the human signal immediately." Mara didn't hesitate. "Understood, Admiral." Hale's voice lowered. "Be careful, something about this feels engineered." "Engineered?" Mara asked. "Yes, the Varak do not fear many things, but they fear humans, and now a human voice appears during their attack. That is no coincidence." The line cut. Mara felt her jaw tighten. Something bigger was happening, something woven through history, hidden, erased, and now resurfacing in flames. She turned to her bridge crew. "Prepare landing Team Alpha, we're going down." Entering the fire dropship, Strider 1 unlocked from the Terran ship's lower hangar. Engines roared. The small craft dove toward the burning planet. Inside, Mara sat strapped into the commander's seat. 5 soldiers surrounded her, trained, silent, focused. The Avari survivor, Lyra Vesh, was also with them. She was weak, wrapped in a medical blanket, but she insisted she must guide them. "You cannot find the deep cities without me," she whispered. "The paths shift, only we know the safe tunnels." Mara nodded. "Then you stay behind me no matter what." Lyra gave a faint smile. "I knew humans kept their word, but seeing so many of your ships gives me hope." Strider 1 broke through the cloud layer, and the world below revealed its nightmare. A dying planet, cities that once shined like silver stars were now ruins. Towers crumbled, fields burned, great white stone temples lay shattered. A massive crater cut through the land where something huge had exploded. Black smoke curled into the sky. Firestorms rolled across the horizon. Mara whispered, "What did the Varak use? Planet breakers?" Lyra shook her head. "Not yet, they want to capture something first." "What?" Lyra's eyes filled with dread. "Your brother's secret." Mara froze. "By your brother you mean Kael Sol, the human who lived with your people." Lyra nodded slowly. "He left something here, something powerful. The Varak want to destroy it or take it." Mara stared out the window. What could one old human leave behind that the Varak fear so much? Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. "Truth." Crash landing, an alarm screamed. "Missile lock," the pilot shouted. 2 Varak interceptors approaching from the west. Mara shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." The dropship Dove twisted, rolled. 2 red missiles streaked past the cockpit, exploding in a storm of bright sparks. The pilot fought the controls. "I can't shake them, they're faster." A voice cut through the radio comm, cold. "Admiral Hale, Strider 1, hold your course." A thunderous beam of blue light shot down from orbit. The Varak ships vanished, erased in a single blast. The pilot exhaled shakily. "Thank you, Admiral." Hale's reply was short. "Land now." The dropship descended fast, engines screaming. It hit the ground hard, skidding across cracked earth before finally stopping. "Everyone out," Mara ordered. The air outside was hot, smoky, and heavy with ash. They had landed in a destroyed Avari city. Streets were shattered, buildings burned. The sky glowed red from fires, but something else stood out. The silence. A silence so deep it felt suffocating. The deep tunnel's Lyra pointed toward a collapsed archway. This way, the deep cities lie below. The Terran soldiers pushed aside rubble, clearing a path. They entered a dark hallway lit only by dim blue crystals embedded in the walls. Lyra touched the crystals gently. They react to life and memory. Mara frowned. Memory? Yes, they are part of the Avari culture. They store the voices and thoughts of our people. Kael Sol used them too. The tunnel descended deeper and deeper until they reached a large ancient door. Circular, covered in symbols, half broken. A Terran soldier examined it. No power, how do we open it? Lyra stepped forward and placed her hand on the surface. Nothing happened. She tried again, still nothing. Her face paled. This door responds to one thing. What? Mara asked. Lyra looked at her with fear. Human DNA. Mara felt the world tilt. She stepped forward, uncertain. Are you saying this ancient Avari door was designed for humans? Yes, Lyra whispered. Kael Sol changed our history. He changed everything. Mara hesitated only a moment, then placed her hand on the door. The ancient structure glowed bright gold. The symbols lit up. The door slid open. Mara stared at her hand, trembling. Lyra whispered, "He taught us how to trust humans, how to build with them, how to survive with them." Mara said softly, "No wonder the Varak erased him." Inside the deep city, the tunnel opened into a vast underground world. Thousands of glowing silver structures filled the cavern. Avari survivors crouched behind shields, weak and starving but alive. When they saw Mara and her team, they gasped. They came. A small Avari child whispered. Humans, the Terrans came. Hope spread through the crowd like a wave. Lyra ran forward, crying, "My people, hold on. The Terrans have come to protect us." An elder stepped forward, frail and trembling. "We waited so long, we feared the promise was forgotten." Mara knelt in front of him. "We came because you trusted us. We do not break promises." The elder smiled weakly. "But you must hurry. The Varak seek the vault." "Vault?" Mara asked. The elder pointed deeper into the cavern. "At the heart of our city. It holds Kael Sol's final message, his final gift to your people." Mara's pulse raced. A human message from centuries ago. Still waiting, still protected. The Varak attacked without warning. The cavern shook violently. Rocks fell from the ceiling. Avari screamed. Terran soldiers raised shields. The tactical officer checked his scanner. "Captain, Varak ground forces entering the upper tunnels." Mara cursed under her breath. They had been followed. The Varak were already inside. "Form a defensive line," she ordered. "Protect the civilians." Terran soldiers spread out, taking cover behind stone pillars. Red laser fire blasted through the entry tunnel, spraying sparks everywhere. Varak warriors charged in tall, armored reptilian predators. Mara fired her rifle, dropping the first attacker. "Hold the line," she shouted. The cavern became chaos, screams, explosions, laser fire, stone cracking. Terrans and Avari fought side by side, but the Varak kept coming. The vault awakens during the chaos. Lyra pulled on Mara's arm. "Captain, you must reach the vault. If the Varak reach it first, all is lost." Mara nodded, yelling over the battle, "Lead the way." Two soldiers covered them as they ran deeper into the cavern. At the far end stood a massive structure, a large sphere made of shining crystal and metal. It pulsed with golden light. The vault. Lyra placed her hand on a circular panel. Nothing. Mara placed hers beside it. The vault responded instantly. Light spread across the surface. Patterns shifted. The entire structure opened like a blooming flower. Inside was a small pedestal. On it lay a glowing crystal cube. It hummed softly, a human heartbeat trapped in light. Lyra whispered, "That is Kael Sol's legacy." Mara reached out and touched it. A voice burst into her mind, a human voice, warm, strong, full of fire. "If you are hearing this, Terrans, then the Varak have come again. You must finish what I started." Mara staggered, gripping the pedestal. The voice continued. The Varak fear humans because they know the truth. You are not weak. You are not small. Humans were never meant to bow. Mara felt tears form in her eyes. Kael Sol whispered, "Protect the Avari, protect each other. Your destiny is waiting." The message ended. The vault went dark. Mara stood silent, for the first time understanding why the Varak wanted to erase this place. Humans were never meant to be what the galaxy believed. They were something more, something older, something powerful, and now the Terrans had returned. The vault chamber shook again, this time harder. Dust rained from the ceiling. Distant screams echoed through the tunnels as Terran soldiers and Avari defenders struggled to hold their fragile line. Captain Mara Elian stood frozen in front of the empty pedestal, Kael Sol's last words burning inside her chest. Humans were never meant to bow. The message kept repeating in her mind like a heartbeat. Mara blinked, her vision clearing. The vault walls were slowly dimming now that the crystal cube had activated. Lights pulsed faintly as if the ancient machine had given its final breath. Lyra Vesh placed one trembling hand on Mara's shoulder. "You heard him," Lyra whispered. "Kael Sol's final truth, you heard it." Mara nodded slowly. "I heard him, and I think the Varak did too. They're closing in." Lyra swallowed hard. The vault is the last piece they need to erase our connection to humans. If it falls, they will wipe out our entire history. Mara looked around the ancient chamber. The silver walls, the glowing symbols, the soft hum that felt almost alive. Everything here had been built because one human cared enough to change a world. His legacy was the only thing keeping an entire species from being erased. And now it was her responsibility to protect it. The battle turns bloody. A Terran soldier burst into the chamber, panting. His armor was scorched and splattered with ash. "Captain, we can't hold them much longer." The Varak breached the second defense line. "How many?" Mara asked. "Too many." He wiped blood from his forehead. "They're pushing hard. They want this place." Mara tightened her grip on her rifle. "Then we don't give it to them." She turned to Lyra. "Stay close. If the vault has anything else hidden, I want to know." Lyra nodded, though fear flickered in her eyes. Together they ran back toward the tunnels. Chaos in the cavern. The deeper Mara and Lyra moved into the cavern, the louder the battle became. Shouts, explosions, the roar of Varak weapons firing. The cavern was a nightmare of smoke and fire. Avari civilians hid behind broken crystal structures. Terran soldiers crouched behind makeshift barriers, returning fire with disciplined bursts. Laser bolts cut through the darkness like red serpents. Mara dove behind a stone column as a Varak warrior charged toward her. The creature was enormous, tall, armored reptilian with glowing yellow eyes full of hate. It swung a jagged blade downward. Mara rolled aside just in time. She fired twice, hitting the creature in the neck. It stumbled, hissing, then fell heavily. "Captain!" Her first officer shouted from behind a ruined shelter. "We're being surrounded. They're coming from the tunnels and the upper platforms." "I see that," Mara yelled back. Another explosion shook the ground. The cavern ceiling cracked, sending huge stones raining down. Terran soldiers dove for cover. The Avari screamed. Mara flinched as a massive Varak assault beast, 4 arms, plated skin, glowing red armor, charged through the dust. It grabbed a Terran soldier and threw him like a rag doll. "Fall back," Mara ordered. They retreated toward the inner city wall, firing as they moved. But the Varak kept coming. Wave after wave, unstoppable, driven by fear or something worse. A strange discovery. As Mara moved through the chaos, she noticed something odd. Every time a Varak soldier fell, their eyes flashed white for a moment before going dark. Not natural, not normal, almost like, "Captain," Lyra shouted over the noise. "We must go right now." Mara turned. "We can't leave," Lyra pointed at the far end of the cavern. "There, look." Mara followed her gaze. Something was glowing behind a half-broken wall. A faint golden light pulsing steadily, different from the blue Avari crystals, warmer, Older, human. What is that? Mara murmured. Lyra whispered, a part of the vault's core. Kael Sol built it himself. He said one day it would help guide your people. Mara's breath caught. Kael Sol building ancient human-coded technology in an alien world. Who was he really? Can it help us now? Mara asked. Lyra shook her head. Only if we activate it, but once we do, the Varak will sense it instantly. Mara looked back at the raging battle. Well, she said, they already know we're here. The core chamber. Mara and two soldiers cleared the way to the glowing wall. Behind it was a narrow passage leading into a small chamber filled with swirling gold light. At the center was a device, like a heart made of crystal and metal, suspended in the air. It rotated slowly, humming softly. Symbols danced across its surface, symbols that looked strangely familiar. Human symbols. Mara stepped closer. Lyra, how do we activate it? Lyra touched the surface. It flickered, then went dark. No good, she whispered. Only a human can wake it. Mara swallowed. Her hand trembled as she reached out. For a moment she hesitated, afraid of what the machine might show her. Then she touched it. The core exploded with light. Golden energy surged through the chamber. Mara fell to her knees, clutching her head as visions flashed through her mind. Kael Sol's memory. She saw a man, tall, strong, with wild black hair and bright eyes. Kael Sol. He stood among the Avari, smiling as he helped rebuild their broken world. Children followed him. Elders trusted him. Warriors learned from him. He taught them how to build defenses. He taught them how to hope. He taught them how to fight beside humans. But she saw darkness too. Kael standing before Varak leaders, unarmed, trying to negotiate peace. The Varak refusing. Kael leading Avari through fire as the Varak burned their homes. Kael carrying wounded civilians through the desert. Kael standing in front of an Avari child, shielding her from a blade. Kael falling, fatally wounded, refusing to surrender. His final moments. If danger ever comes again, call for humans. They will come. They always come. Mara gasped as the vision faded. She was shaking. Kael Sol wasn't just a visitor. He wasn't just a survivor. He was a protector, a hero, a human who chose compassion over fear. And he had died for these people. A message for Terrans. The core glowed again, projecting new symbols across the chamber. A voice, Kael Sol's voice, spoke softly. If the Terrans are hearing this, then the Varak have returned. They fear you because they fear the truth. Mara clenched her fists. What truth? She whispered. Kael's voice continued. Humans were not meant to be scattered, afraid, or small. Your ancestors were something more, something the Varak wanted to erase. The core pulsed brighter. Terrans, you must rise, protect these people, protect each other. Your destiny is calling. The core shut down. Mara wiped tears from her eyes. I won't let your sacrifice be wasted, she whispered. The Varak break through suddenly, boom. The wall behind them exploded inward. Varak soldiers stormed into the chamber, snarling, weapons raised. Captain, one of her soldiers shouted, get down. Gunfire erupted. Terran rifles lit the air with blue bolts. Varak warriors deflected shots with armored claws. One lunged at Lyra. Mara didn't think. She fired 3 times into its chest. The creature collapsed just inches from Lyra's feet. More Varak poured in. They wanted the core. They wanted Kael Sol's truth erased. Forever. Mara grabbed Lyra's hand. We're leaving now. They ran back into the cavern as Terran soldiers laid down suppressive fire. Fall back to the inner gate, Mara shouted. Protect the civilians. But as they reached the main chamber, Mara's heart dropped. A massive Varak war beast stood at the center, towering, armored with 4 massive claws. It roared, shaking the entire cavern. Soldiers froze. Avari cried out. The beast pointed at Mara. Its voice was deep and unnatural. Human, you should not be here. Mara raised her rifle, and you should rethink your life choices. The beast snarled. Reinforcements arrived just when all hope seemed lost. A deafening explosion tore through the upper cavern. Dust rained down. A massive Terran gunship descended through the broken ceiling, its engines blazing bright blue. It hovered low, unleashing a barrage of missiles and cannon fire. Varak soldiers were scattered like leaves. Terran reinforcements rappelled down from the gunship, landing in formation. And at the front of the squad was a man in silver armor carrying a heavy plasma cannon. He pointed at the Varak war beast. "Step away from my captain." The beast roared. The soldier fired. A blazing beam struck the creature square in the chest, sending it crashing through a wall. Mara stared in disbelief. "Lieutenant Darren, you were supposed to be guarding the ship." He grinned. "Sorry, Captain, thought you could use a little help." She laughed breathlessly. "You have no idea." The cavern holds for now. With reinforcements, the Terrans pushed the Varak back into the tunnels. The cavern filled with smoke, fire, and the faint glow of energy shields. But the Varak would return. Mara knew it, everyone knew it. The Avari survivors gathered around Mara and Lyra, hope shining in their eyes, fear lurking beneath. "What now, Captain?" Lyra whispered. Mara looked toward the glowing tunnels where the Varak had retreated. "We prepare." She lifted her rifle. "We protect this city, we protect the vault, and we protect Kael Sol's legacy." Her voice grew stronger. "And when the Varak return, we show them what humans really are." The cavern shook again. Not from battle, not from Varak weapons. Something deeper, something older. Captain Mara Elian felt the vibration through the stone floor as if the entire planet was taking a breath. One last breath before deciding whether to live or die. Terran soldiers tightened their grips on weapons. Avari civilians huddled close together. Smoke rose from broken tunnels. Mara stood at the center of the ruined chamber, staring into the darkness where the Varak had retreated. "They'll be back," Lieutenant Darren said, wiping blood from his cheek. "They're regrouping," Mara replied. "They need the vault. They need Kael Sol's truth to stay buried." Lyra Vesh, still weak but standing, pointed a trembling hand toward the upper ceiling. "And they are bringing something bigger." Mara stared upward. The sound grew louder, a deep rumble like thunder trapped underground. "What is that?" A soldier whispered. Lyra's face turned pale blue. "Their war machine, the one Kael Sol feared most, the Devourer." The last war machine from the upper tunnel burst a massive shape, bigger than any Varak beast seen so far. Its armor glowed molten red. Blades curved from its limbs like scythes. Its eyes burned white-hot. It let out a roar so powerful the entire cavern shook. Terran soldiers staggered back. One whispered, "What kind of monster is that?" Lyra answered with dread, "A machine built to erase species." The Devourer began marching forward, each step cracking stone beneath its weight. Varak soldiers followed behind it like shadows, their claws raised, ready to slaughter anything in their path. Mara's heart thundered in her chest. This was the final push, the moment the Varak would crush the Avari forever unless humanity stood firm. She lifted her rifle. "Terran," she shouted. "Form a defensive line." Her voice echoed across the cavern. "Protect the civilians, protect the vault." Blue shields shimmered into place. Terran soldiers aimed their weapons. The Devourer roared again and charged. The defensive line breaks. The machine slammed into the Terran shields. The impact was like an earthquake. The shields flickered. Several soldiers were thrown backward. "Hold," Mara shouted, but the Devourer didn't stop. It tore through barriers as if they were air. Its claws cut through stone. Its eyes glowed brighter. Terrans fired everything they had, rifles, cannons, launchers. Bolts of blue energy struck the metal beast, leaving scorched marks but not slowing it down. "You can't kill it with normal weapons," Lyra cried. "Then how do we stop it?" Mara asked. Lyra pointed at the vault's core chamber, the place where the Golden Heart machine had spoken Kael Sol's message. Kael said only humans could unlock its full power. "You did it once, you can do it again." Mara looked back at the Devourer. It was almost upon them. She didn't have time to think. "We're activating the core," Mara said. "Cover us." Racing toward the core, Mara sprinted across the cavern, Lyra following close behind. Terran soldiers laid down heavy fire, slowing the Varak advance. A massive chunk of stone crashed behind her. A Varak warrior leapt toward her, but Darren tackled it midair, firing point-blank into its chest. "Go, Captain," he shouted. Mara didn't stop. She reached the core chamber again, breathing hard. The golden heart device still hummed softly. Waiting, she placed her hand on it, the chamber filled with golden light. Symbols lit up brighter than before, the air vibrated with energy. Mara felt the machine reaching into her mind, not to control her but to speak through her. Kael Sol's voice returned, softer but determined. "If you face the devourer, you must awaken the Builder's light." Mara gasped. "Builder's light, what is that?" Kael's voice continued. "It is the spark of the first builders, a spark hidden inside humanity. Use it, Terran, protect them." The light pulsed, bright, brighter, blinding. The core shot a beam of golden energy through the cavern ceiling, sending dust flying. The devourer paused. Varak soldiers hissed in fear. Avari stared in awe. Mara felt warmth fill her chest, powerful, ancient, overwhelming. Her eyes glowed gold. The machine obeyed her. The awakening, the vault's central sphere rose from the floor and unfolded like a blooming star. Plates of crystal turned, locking into new positions. Energy surged across the ceiling, forming swirling patterns. Mara felt the Builder's light flow through her veins. Kael Sol's voice whispered, "You are stronger than they believe." Mara lifted her hand. Golden light erupted from her palm, shooting toward the devourer. The beam struck the machine, stopping it mid-charge. Terran and Avari soldiers stared in shock. The devourer roared, struggling against the glowing force holding it back. Mara gritted her teeth, pushing harder. Lyra whispered in awe, "The ancient power, it responds to you." But it wasn't just responding, it was obeying. The Terran fleet joins the fight suddenly. The cavern roof burst open, this time from above, not below. Blue light flooded the space. Terran engines thundered overhead. Dozens of dropships descended, guns firing. Soldiers rappelled down. Large armored walkers were deployed, stomping across broken rock. Above them, through the new hole in the ceiling, Mara saw something else, the full Terran Armada. Hundreds of ships, thousands, battle cruisers, carriers, heavy platforms, dreadnoughts. Every Terran captain had answered the call. Admiral Hale's voice boomed through the cavern's speakers. "Terrans, protect the Avari at all costs." The cavern erupted into unified fire. Blue bolts filled the air. Varak warriors fell. The Terran reinforcements roared as they pushed forward. "Humanity is here," a soldier shouted. "Hold the line," another yelled. The battle swung in their favor, but the devourer was not finished. The devourer's last stand, the massive war machine, broke free of the golden beam and charged again. Terran walkers fired heavy cannons. Avari elders used crystal weapons. Mara kept channeling light, her vision shaking. The beast was weakening. Sparks flew off its armor. Its roar changed to a desperate howl, but it was still too strong. "Captain," Darren shouted, "we need something bigger." Mara knew what she had to do. She stepped forward. The golden light around her intensified until she glowed like a small sun. Kael Sol's final words echoed in her heart, "Your destiny is calling." Mara raised both hands. The Builder's light erupted into a massive wave. It hit the devourer like a storm. The machine convulsed, armor burning away, claws melting, core overheating. For the first time, its eyes showed fear. Then boom! It exploded in a fiery burst, shaking the entire cavern. Silence followed. Shock filled the air. Had a single human destroyed a Varak superweapon? Yes, because humans were more than they were told to believe. The Varak retreat. The Varak soldiers stared at the glowing Terran captain and the rising Terran fleet above. They hissed in fear. One by one, they turned and fled into the tunnels. Those who couldn't escape dropped their weapons and surrendered. The war machine was gone. The vault was saved. The Avari lived, and the truth could no longer be erased. Lyra fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "You did it, Terrans did it." Kael Sol was right. Mara walked over and helped her stand. "He believed in us," Mara whispered. "Now we prove him right." Aftermath. A new alliance. Hours later, the Terran Armada circled the planet. Avari survivors were evacuated, fed, healed, protected. The deep cities were secured. The Varak were gone. Admiral Hale descended to the cavern. He looked at the battlefield, then at Mara. "You discovered something extraordinary." Mara nodded. "Kael Sol left a message for us, a secret the Varak feared." Hale placed a hand on her shoulder. "And now we know humans are not small. We are not alone in our destiny." Lyra approached them. "Our history lives because of you," she said softly. "We will stand with humans forever." Hale nodded respectfully. "Then today marks a new alliance." The Avari bowed, the Terrans bowed back, and above them the vault glowed like a second sun, its secrets now awakened. Final message from Kael Sol. Later, alone, Mara returned to the core chamber. The golden heart glowed weakly. She placed her hand on it one last time. Kael's voice returned, gentle, fading. "If a Terran hears this, then hope remains. Protect them, protect each other. Humanity has a future the galaxy cannot understand. Walk toward it without fear." Mara whispered, "We will." The core dimmed. The last echo of Kael Sol ended peacefully. Star Epilogue. A new dawn. Terran ships rose from the Avari world like a sky full of stars. The Varak Dominion retreated into the dark corners of the galaxy, afraid, shaken, uncertain. Word spread across every known empire. The Terrans had answered an ancient call. They had destroyed the Devourer, they had awakened the Builder's light, and they had returned stronger than anyone believed. The galaxy would never be the same. Captain Mara Elian stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge as the fleet prepared to jump home. She looked at her crew. "At ease, everyone, we kept the promise." Her first officer smiled. "Where to now?" Mara gazed at the stars, feeling Kael Sol's legacy in her heart. "We go home," she said softly, "and then we prepare. The galaxy is changing and humanity must rise with it." The engines flared, the fleet jumped, and a new era began.